Please help support the channel by visiting our Amazon store, affiliate link below. Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is 3 Buck Theater, and today is October 19th, 2017. Welcome back to the show. I got a good lineup of stuff to talk about today, and I want to just jump right into it here with the first story, probably the most talked about news story in terms of entertainment today, and that would be Netflix finally gave us a release date for the Punisher TV series. I don't know about you, but I've been waiting. I've been patiently waiting since March 18th, 2016. Trust me, that date has meaning for this series to come out. I loved John Bernthal as the Punisher, and I can't wait to dive into these 13 episodes. Now, you might be asking yourself, how does any of this have to do with movie news? Here's where it kicks in. Netflix likes to troll DC. They do. They like to troll DC. They were going to release Daredevil Season 2 on the same day Batman v Superman came out, but it was actually released a week earlier. There's currently a meme floating around trying to showcase as the same date. That's not true at all. It was a week prior to that event happening, but still close enough to where it was a bit of a laugh a couple years ago when this whole thing happened. But now The Punisher comes out on the same day as Justice League, and that has a lot of pro-MCU fans and anti-DCEU fans laughing their collective asses off. And the reason why is because you've got 13 episodes of The Punisher. That is 13 hours of entertainment to binge through on the same weekend that Justice League is opening up. So you're going to have to ask yourself, what is it you want to do? What is it you want to do? How do you want to spend your time? Well, if you're like me, you're gonna do both, motherfucker. All right, I'll tell you how it's gonna go down. I'll tell you how it's gonna go down for the old Matster here. All right, I'm gonna go see the early advance screening Thursday night at 7 p.m. Okay, then I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna have to patiently wait until about 5 p.m. the next day for my girlfriend to get home from work, so then I can watch The Punisher. So if I want, I could go see Justice League one more time in the daytime or something, and by then my movie pass should probably come in. Hopefully, I've been waiting for months, and I then be able to get my hands on it and go see Justice League one more time. The movie looks good. I want to see it, but The Punisher, man, The Punisher is what I've been waiting for since Defenders. I loved the Defenders, and I can't wait to dive into this 13-episode series because this is taking the MCU shows to a much darker place that will only be experienced through the beauties, the wonder of internet streaming on Netflix. All right, so Warner Brothers, God bless them, are trying to do what they failed to do with the Dark Knight movies, and that is get a Best Picture win. They got a nod, now they want the win, and they're pushing Wonder Woman over Dunkirk, which is really telling if you ask me. Dunkirk is Nolan doing a World War II movie, the one that was built around IMAX, and even though no one went to go see IMAX movies this year, it still did very well in terms of reviews and fan response. But Warner's, oh man, they want Wonder Woman to win. In fact, take a look at just the For Your Consideration page for Wonder Woman. You've got the following categories: Best Picture, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, Best Supporting Actor, Best Cinematography, Best Production Design, Best Film Editing, Best Costume Design, Best Visual Effects, Best Sound Mixing, Best Sound Editing, Best Makeup and Hairstyling, and Best Original Score. Now, I mean, this is generally standard. They're going to put it out for as much as they possibly can, and they're hoping probably now with the huge diversity push with the Academy that they're going to be able to get that. And never mind the fact that Harvey Weinstein was just ousted from the Academy for everything that douchebag did. But we're probably going to see a big push for Wonder Woman due to the fact that it is Wonder Woman and it is dealing with that whole spectrum of the gender sphere, if you will. It's not a bad thing. I'm not knocking that at all. Warner's is playing a very smart game, but I think they were already planning on doing this to begin with. I mean, last year Suicide Squad won for Best Costumes, so Suicide Squad is an Oscar winner. A lot of people out there got really upset at that. Me personally love Suicide Squad, so I'm totally on board with that. But this movie, I do think is not going to get nominated for Best Actress. It will probably get nominated. It won't get nominated for Best Screenplay. Maybe Best Picture, just in terms of producing, maybe best director, I would say Patty Jenkins. She already won. I think she won or was nominated. I know she was nominated, but I don't remember if she won for Monster at all with Charlize Theron. But, they're going to definitely play that up and do that whole thing. I don't know if Wonder Woman is necessarily deserving of Academy Awards, to be honest with you. I think the movie was excellent. I loved the movie. It was definitely a good film. But in terms of Academy excellence, so to speak, I don't know if it necessarily does well with that. But we're going to get a good idea when it goes into the Golden Globes and whether or not it actually wins there. If it wins there, then it's going to tell you a lot about the Academy push. But at the same time, all Warner Brothers really wants is just to get the film nominated, so then they'll be able to put that on their marketing, they'll be able to use that with their investors, and they'll be able to use that to fund further films. And, they won't win the awards, but if they get the nomination, that at least looks good going on to any kind of further advertisements down the road, right? Imagine the next Gal Gadot movie, and it's going to be like, best actress or best actress nominee Gal Gadot or something, and you're going to be like, for what? She's good, but she's not like Emma Stone good or Kate Blanchett good or Jennifer Lawrence good. She definitely did well in the movie, but I don't think it's going to do as well as they want here. But hey, either way I look at it, or either way you look at it, I wish them the best of luck. This year is going to be very interesting when it comes to the Oscars as a whole. I do want to pause for a quick moment and mention my Patreon. If you guys like this channel and like the kind of content I put out, consider supporting it. $1 goes a long way, and it doesn't only support 3 Buck Theater, but also Mundane Matt, my primary channel. If not, it's all good. Let's get back into the movie news, because trust me, there's still a lot more to come. Alright, so jumping over into 20th Century Fox related comic book news, because that's kind of what this show effectively is just talking about that kind of stuff. We have got a good story from Josh Brolin about what to expect from Cable going forward with that lineup. And the thing is, what Fox is doing now with their films going R-rated, pushing the more adult themes, I think is going to work. And you can see that they are definitely doubling down on this by not only introducing Cable and Deadpool 2, but also announcing the X-Force movie and what's going to go on with that. Now, in an interview with Collider, Josh Brolin did say this about Cable's arc. "I'm not going to tell you how much I'm in the film, but it's his introduction. And I think his introduction, even in the small promos and teasers that David has shown me, I think it's a proper reveal. I think we're not trying to hide the fact that this is the beginning of Cable and absolutely not the end. I think when you're sensitive about how you reveal this character, there's a sense of mystery to it. So then we finally get into X-Force and you're going to be with this guy full-blown all the time. There's a lot to be revealed. There's a lot to be revealed, but there's 3 more movies to reveal more." Now, not much there in terms of information, but ooh, there was that nugget. 3 more films to reveal more. Now, are those 3 more films going to be post X-Force? I think so. I think that's going to be X-Force, probably Deadpool 3, and probably X-Force 2 and 3. That's what I'm thinking there. I think they're going to finish out a Deadpool trilogy, and then they're going to go and do the X-Force 2 and 3, or maybe a Cable film. I don't know if a Cable movie is going to necessarily work. He feels to me more of an ensemble character or a supporting character that will work well with Deadpool. But then again, there are some of you in the comments that might be all like, but Matt, Cable is the baddest ass thing ever and deserves his own movie. And here's the deal, guys. Here's the deal. If he does well and is received well as Thanos in Infinity War 1 and 2, as he already has been perceived as Thanos and what we've already seen coming out of the MCU. I mean, that little bit in Guardians of the Galaxy, obviously, but if that does well and then this does well, oh yeah, Fox is not going to shy away from a Cable movie. Maybe Cable featuring Deadpool in a supporting role, flip the script on that a little bit. But again, I'm really kind of curious to see where Fox is taking these things, with New Mutants clearly pushing for more of an R-rated setup, as well as wanting there to be a trilogy of horror-themed films set around these characters and in this side of the universe, with Dark Phoenix wanting to harken closer back to the source material, so them spending more time working on that. That also just wrapped production last week as well. Deadpool going rated R, everything else that's happened with Fox, you can see this shift in their lineup. There's shift in how they're trying to approach it. And I think if it does well, if it continues to do well, then we're going to see this second renaissance of Fox films back in the early 2000s with X-Men 1 and X-Men 2. Those were hailed as great things. And then, of course, we got Daredevil, which I liked. I liked Daredevil. Then there was Elektra. We try not to talk about Elektra. But then X-Men 3, which I don't hate. A lot of people out there hate. I don't hate it. and then nothing until X-Men Origins Wolverine in 2000. Oh no, they also did the Fantastic Four movies too in 2005 and 2007. So yeah, there's a lot there Fox has done good, and then there's a fair amount there Fox has done horrible. But lately, with the exception of Apocalypse, they've done well. And looking to go forward, especially trying to expand out on Cable's story and give us more of his backstory spread out across 4 films, not including Deadpool 2. Or maybe it is including Deadpool 2. I don't know. It could be. We don't know. It seems like it's going to be X-Force and going on from there past that. Anyway, though, I think it's going to be really cool to see what Fox has up its sleeve. And at this point, I'm actually probably more hyped for these movies than what's going to be happening with the MCU. And it's not to say I don't love the MCU any less. I'm a huge MCU fan. But the way Fox has changed things has got me excited, and it's because they're letting the creators create, and they're letting the source material stand, and they're not shying away from the violence and the R-ratedness of it all, and they realize that this is what audiences want to see. And I just hope that they don't screw it up, and they might. But in the meantime, I'm all in. All right, so jumping over into very interesting and specific news concerning which actor has the best return for the money invested versus which actor has the least return for the money invested. And trust me when I say this, it is not who you think. It's not Robert Downey Jr. or any of those guys. In fact, it's Emilio Estevez and Brad Pitt. But here's what the article says. Analysts from Party Casino, a unit of the GVC Gaming Group, have studied box office data from 1980 to 2017 and found that the Young Gun star delivered the best return of any top-billed male actor who has starred in at least 10 films, specifically for $1 spent on the leading man's films. Estevez generated $6.70 at the box office. The male actors who generated the next best returns were just as surprising. Jean-Claude Van Damme raked in $4.20 for each dollar, while other investments were Mel Gibson for $3.50, Tyler Perry for $3, and Dudley Moore at also $3. The results for the worst also left researchers stunned. Brad Pitt only returned 10 cents for every $1 spent, making him the least profitable actor in Hollywood. The Ocean's 11 star was followed by Johnny Depp, Robert De Niro, Hugh Jackman, and Anthony Hopkins. Holy crap. Emilio Estevez, over the course of 37 years, has been the highest returned actor on investment, right? For dollars spent. That's insane. Brad Pitt being the least. But let's also kind of break that down too. Emilio Estevez had his heyday in the 80s, okay? Talking about Young Guns 2, Mighty Ducks, so on and so forth. The 80s and the 90s were great for Emilio Estevez, whereas after that he kind of tapered off. But at Brad Pitt didn't really get a start until the early 1990s with True Romance and Thelma and Louise, and California with David Duchovny, and then it wasn't until the the late 90s with The Legends of the Fall and Meet Joe Black did he start kind of getting a bit more prominence. And then from there, Fight Club I think really boosted his career. That was 1999, and then going forward to now. So as from then to now, we've got him in way more movies than Emilio Estevez. But at the time in the 80s, the economy was much better. Everyone had a lot more money. Hollywood was spending out money left and right, and they were getting a lot more returns left and right. I mean, there's an old saying that's like in the early 1990s, you could have sold a screenplay. In the early 1990s, studios were purchasing screenplays just to make sure other studios never got those screenplays. Then those screenplays were locked in a vault and forgotten about. They had so much money. Screenwriters could earn millions and millions and millions by literally just writing some work that they got a bidding war over, and then they could retire. That is how much money was going around back in the day. Now it's not so much. And now there's investors from other countries and they have to go to other markets and everything else. So I don't know how, is the rate of exchange there good? Is it the rate of inflation? Is it taken into account? Because if you look at the top earning female actress is surprisingly Rose Byrne at $9.80 for every dollar spent. Like, that makes no sense to me. Rose Byrne, I like Rose Byrne, but that doesn't make any sense. So this is one of those kind of funny stories that's really going to have Hollywood talking about the bankability of leading men, and whether or not there's a nice return on investment there. But what they're also not taking into account, and as I mentioned before, we're talking 37 years going through a good bolstering economy previously to the internet. Then, of course, post the boom of the internet where everyone started making more money. Then there was the collapse with the recession. Now we're on the mend from that. There are different timelines there. It's like everyone likes to go back and point to Gone with the Wind being the highest grossing movie of all time if adjusted for inflation. So how come this didn't also adjust for inflation? Alright guys, finally today I want to talk about the Thor Ragnarok reviews that have just dropped. Everyone is talking about how this movie is doing great. I want to take a quick look over at its Rotten Tomatoes score to see whether or not the the third installment in the Thor franchise is going to blow everyone's socks off in a couple weeks. Saying right now that out of all critics, which would be 41 reviews, it has a 98% fresh score with 40 fresh and 1 rotten. Critics' consensus saying it's exciting, funny, all of the above. Thor Ragnarok is a colorful cosmic adventure that sets a new standard for its franchise and the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. All right, let's take a look here at the top critics and what they have to say. All right, let's take a quick look at the top critics and what they have to say. Lindsay Barr from the Associated Press says, Thor Ragnarok is the most fun of the Thor movies by a long shot, but is still very much a Thor movie for better or for worse. Okay. Alonzo Duralde from The Wrap says, both the banter and the fighting, it should be noted, are excellent. Whether you go to a superhero movie for the glossy escapism or the pulse-pounding action, you'll get your soda's worth. And Chris Nashawati from Entertainment Weekly says, Ragnarok is basically a joke delivery system, and on that score it works. The movie is fun. But what of the one rotten review? That would come from Peter DeBruge from Variety, saying, while it's not saying much, Thor Ragnarok is easily the best of the 3 Thor movies. Or maybe I just think so because its screenwriters and I finally seem to agree on one thing. The Thor movies are preposterous. All right, this is a bit of a jab, The Thor movies have always been, you know, they're the first linking to the cosmic side of the MCU. Everything else is very Earth-based, right? And so this is the first kind of moving out there. Guardians really kind of bolstered that in 2014, and unfortunately Thor 2 wasn't really kind of preparing for that with how the Dark World kind of handled the whole situation. But since then, more color, more excitement, more fun have kind of been the name of the game for these kind of Marvel films, and that was really kind of put on by James Gunn. You can see that his influence very much played a part in this, hence why Guardians of the Galaxy has been mentioned quite a bit in some of these reviews. So far, the 98% seems very warranted, but really we're going to have to wait for fan reaction. As I always say when it comes to Rotten Tomatoes, take everything with a grain of salt, wait for fan reactions, and let's face it, you're like me, you're like me, you're already counting down to the 2nd of November when you can go to the early screening and get your Thor on and your Hulk on and everything else. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, I don't know about you. I just can't wait. It looks to be like so much fun. And that's honestly right now in our world, I think something we desperately need more of. All right, guys, that wraps up this episode of 3 Buck Theater. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today and discussing movies. I love it. You guys have no idea how much I love just geeking out about movies and stuff, and I always look for interesting stories to talk about. I know a lot of it's comic related. I'm also looking for other things. If you have other interesting stories, check it out, mundanematt.com/submit, or just hit me up on Twitter, or the best way actually right now is on Discord. The link will be in the video description, and I will talk to you guys later. Have yourself a fantastic day, and peace out.